Andy, this is nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you. This is why we do get up at 2 in the morning, like today, which will wrap up in Lake Placid when we do the opening ceremonies for the World University Games. So make sure you get up there and see the competition. But when I think about what I'm most proud of in New York State, yes, it's being able to attract the World University Games, competing with other countries. Yes, it's a lot of other initiatives we launched in our State of the State address just a couple days ago. But really what excites me are opportunities like this. To know that, yes, we have leaders, visionaries, like Andy Marsh, who planted the flag here back in 1997, right here in the capital region, and said we can do something quite extraordinary and no one ever done it before, but we're going to do it right here in New York. And it wasn't created here in New York and go make it somewhere else. You know, we didn't take this over to China. We're doing it right here. And I thank you for having the faith in our leadership, the faith in New York, and the faith in the workforce, which is second to none in this nation. So thank you, Andy. I know Senator Schumer will be joining us momentarily, but I also want to thank our majority leader for delivering for us in Washington in ways that only a majority leader can. So we're very, very blessed to have Senator Schumer as an amazing partner on semiconductors and green energy and the green chips bill we did in Washington and replicated here in New York State. Congressman Paul Tonko, I don't see Paul. Paul's used to be head of NYSERDA. So when I served in Congress with him, all he talked about was energy projects. So I know he's here in spirit, right? It's all he talks about. But it's good to have someone. It's good to have someone like that representing this area, bringing those jobs right back here as well. Our other supporters and friends, Pat Fahey, thank you so much for your friendship. Our Assembly member John McDonald has joined us. Yes, our Albany Mayor Kathy Sheehan, who is presiding over transformative projects in this whole region. Thank you, Mayor. Our County Executive Dan McCoy, who you'll be hearing from very shortly. And as I said before, last time we were here on that very cold day in March, although I said we'll be back on a much warmer day, I'm sure. I wasn't right about that, but our local supervisors, because I spent 14 years in local government. I know how communities can say no. I know how they can say yes. And the partnership that the two of you have formed, Supervisor Van Leuven and Supervisor LaGrange, is really a testament to what two communities can do to put your beautiful place in our state on the map as the home to literally 1,600 jobs. For me in the local government, that would have been a very big deal. So congratulations on getting it done, Supervisor. Also, Mike Lyons, the president of the Greater Capital Building Trades. Thank you, Mike, for reminding us of where our workforce comes from. And Andy mentioned it, but I want to give a special shout out to the most extraordinary team ever assembled in state government. Those are the ones who worry about the future of our environment, renewable energy, making sure that we take care of the people of this state, but also creating incentives so the businesses that were born here can stay here and businesses from all over the state will want to come here. So I want to thank Doreen Harris, head of NYSERDA, Hope Knight, our head of Empire State Development, Basil Sagos, our head of the DEC, Roberta Reardon, the head of Department of Labor, and Justin Driscoll, the head of NYPA. Thank you. So this is a new chapter in the green energy revolution. As the story is being written, the story unfolds. Everyone will look back that this is the place where a fascinating part of this grew right here. But also, as I see the progression of Plug Power, as yes, we're proud here in the capital region, but I also look to the far western part of the state. And you think about the power that is generated, a place called Niagara Falls. Ever hear of Niagara Falls? Probably the world's first renewable, at least in our state, the power that comes from the power of Niagara Falls. Back when I was new governor in 2020, we went to a place called Batavia, the STAMP project. And we announced that green hydrogen would be generated there that could create many, many jobs. And now we move across the state. and see that this opportunity to have a $55 million project, you don't get those every single day, creating 1,600 more jobs on top of the jobs you have, on top of 1,400 you already have. I mean, your growth is incredible. That's why I have to build so many houses. I talked about this in my State of the States because I have to make sure all your workers have a place to live. So, see this, everybody? Let's get the housing done. But what you're doing is incredible to think that you can have fuel cells to power small trucks and forklifts. Now, most of you don't think about small trucks and forklifts every single day. But if you're working inside a warehouse and you have a fossil fuel generated forklift lifting up everything that a forklift does, it makes a difference of how that is powered. And he has arrived. Let's give a round of applause to the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, our great Senator, our own Chuck Schumer. Let's give him a round of applause, Senator. So it's inside these factories, these warehouses, where the polluting air actually hurts our workers. It hurts the well-being of working men and women of labor. We have to protect them. But forklifts powered by fuel cells that are zero emission, it's a healthy, cleaner environment for not just all of us, but the workforce. And that's something that I think gets overlooked. So the potential for fuel cell technology is limitless. I always say, what does it look like? And then I said, is this a license plate? Looks like to me like a license plate. This is the foundation of what the people here in factories like this all across New York are building. So this is the foundation, this is the vision, this is the innovation that is leading us into a different future. And I'm very, very excited about this. This 400,000 square foot expansion will mean we can produce even more green energy. And yes, thank you, ESD, for having the vision to save $45 million in Excelsior tax credits, our green Excelsior tax credits, and NYPA for the reduced energy costs to the Recharge New York program. Because as you heard in our address, New York will continue to lead the nation in our fight against climate change. And I laid out some new strategies. They're new, people are thinking about them, what is this all about? But my team's been thinking about this for a long time. They said, the future is not tomorrow. The future has to start happening today. We have to have a cap and invest program to cap greenhouse emissions, invest in the clean economy, and prioritize the health of our citizens. So NYSERDA and DEC will be setting up an annual cap on pollution. The largest polluters will have to pay more to wean them off of fossil fuels. And the money driven from this will go quickly to our consumers to help them with the transition costs. And that's how we align our climate goals, stop the pollution, but also help defray the costs for our farmers and small businesses and our residents. So that's how we're going to do it. We'll also be prioritizing communities that have been disproportionately impacted, help build into energy efficiency, clean transportation, and also an annual climate action rebate. So we will continue to meet our goals, which are the most ambitious in the nation: 70% of renewables from 2030, 85% emissions from 2050. We're not daunted by this. Other states say, no, that's too much, we can't do that. Here we say, it's big, it's hard, and it will be done. Because our future and our kids and our grandkids, I was just looking at a picture of Dan McCoy's beautiful year-old granddaughter. We're doing it for her. And all the children who deserve to grow up in a clean environment where their parents and grandparents had the vision. People like Andy Marsh had a vision that is realized today. Yes, it's a business. Yes, it's great jobs. But this is for our planet. This is what's at stake here. And so we'll continue doing this, creating more jobs in our green energy and economy. Our jobs grew faster in this economy than any other sector, almost 5%, during a time when others were slowing down. But I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be leading a state that understands the stakes could not be higher for what we're doing today in places like Plug Power. So to all your employees, all the workers, all the true believers, all the environmentalists, all the individuals who give a damn about the future, We're here to say we do care. We're making a difference. It's happening in places like Plug Power. Honored to be here. Congratulations, Andy, on this huge milestone, and look forward to cutting the ribbon momentarily on this incredible project and look forward to continued future growth in the state of New York. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. So, in my opening discussion, I talked about the many, many dark days that Plug Power lived through. And we didn't have many friends. And today, the company has 3,000 employees, half of them in New York. The number one reason, and maybe the only reason, Plug still exists today because of Senator Schumer's fight back in 2017 and 2018 to pass the investment tax credit. None of this would have been possible. The Plug staff, the fuel cell industry, we're just greatly indebted to the senator. It's, for me, it's hard to explain. Back then, I was known by a few people. Now Plug is known around the world. And the number one reason Plug is known around the world is because of the help and support of Senator Schumer. When I look at it, I try to explain to people when I go down to Washington, he's not just worried about what goes on in D.C. and, the work's been miraculous. I've been in many counties in New York with him. He cares about every county. And I'm probably not the only CEO in this state who says the number one reason we're around is because of support from Senator Schumer. I don't know if everybody appreciates how historic the 117th Congress was. I know it's going to go down in history. And for us who are in the technology and energy industry and who want to make a better world, we know without Senator Schumer, none of that would have been possible. You think about, we care about the hydrogen highway. And you're going to see it over the coming years. It's going to be across the United States. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, which he drove, put over $9.5 billion in the hydrogen and electrolyzers. The heart of what Plug does for a living, but the heart of everything that goes on. The IRA, not only is it a great green bill to create American jobs, when you really read the bill, it's about making sure America's the leader in this climate change. It's why we can create jobs here in New York, as well as, and I don't think this is always fully appreciated, how important energy independence is for national security. You can see what's happening in Ukraine, and by the work the senator's done, it really positions us well. And the CHIPS Act, being a former Bell Labs engineer, I understand, because I designed products with chips, how important that is, that technology and capability resides in our country, nowhere else. And without the senator's foresight and insight, that would have never been possible. So it's my pleasure, and Senator, you're historic, longest-serving New York senator, but I suspect my grandnephews and nieces are going to be reading about you in history books like we read about Daniel Webster and Henry Clay. So this historic senator and a good friend to all of us in the green energy revolution. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Majority Leader of the United States, and most important, New York Senator. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, that was great. Well, thank you, Andy Marsh. Wow, what a great day. $125 million. 1,600 new good-paying green energy jobs here in the capital region. This is a red letter day. No, it's a green letter day for the capital region. And what's amazing about this is this cements, this today, this great factory cements the capital region as one of the nation's and even one of the world's centers for fuel cell manufacturing. And this is an industry with a great future. This isn't one of these industries that say, well, its best days are behind us, even when we try to work to keep them here. No. This is the future. And what it's going to mean for the capital region, among many other things, is a lot of four-letter words. Jobs, 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 and more jobs. This is great. Now, there are a lot of people to thank here. At the top of the list, I want to thank Andy Marsh. He has been such a leader in this company. He has cared about this industry. He came to me in tears almost in 2017 and said, we're going to go under. This wonderful industry had about 200 employees back then.
200 employees, Senator.
But without the investment tax credit, it would have gone under. It was definitely needed. And together we fought and fought. Remember, it was a Trump presidency, a Republican House and Senate. But we fought and fought and fought, and we got it done. And his leadership has helped this company become the preeminent fuel cell manufacturer for forklifts and other things. When you list, I don't know if it was mentioned, the names of the Walmart buys their forklifts from here, and all these other Amazon buys their forklifts from here. I mean, it's amazing. Right here, and it's because of this guy. And he cares so much about New York. Ohio, you know, they're the leading green hydrogen manufacturer in the country. They were going to build their new plant in Ohio. I said, Andy, you can't do that.
I was out for a run.
He was out for a run when I called him. I said, what is this Ohio business? Well, they're in Rochester, New York, and helping that part of our upstate region grow. So let me thank Andy above all. I want to thank our governor, our great governor, Kathy Hochul. She has done a great job, and we have partnered together. The combination of the federal investments and tax credits and the state money is an unbeatable combination, and we prove that in place after place after place here in upstate New York. I want to thank our great county executive, Dan McCoy. He got the memo about the blue suits, very good. But a lot more important than that, his investment here at Vista Park was so important. He's committed $2 million. Now, these are federal dollars, American Rescue Plan, but when I give them to Albany County, I know they're going to be used well, as when I give them to the city of Albany, Mayor. I know they're going to be used well, and you couldn't find a better use for these $2 million than this. I don't know if Paul Tonko is here. I think he's by video. And by the way, I'm sorry I'm late. I almost had to be video with the bad weather. We had a rough time getting up here, but here I am. And Paul is by video. He's in Washington, but no one's worked harder than that. And you know who's the first person who talked to me about Plug Power? I don't know, George McNamee. Is he here? Stand up, George. In 2002, I think it was, I was a new senator. He said, you know, there are these things called fuel cells, and there's this company that he was chairman of the board, I guess, at that point. It was before I think you came, Andy. before they had the great sense to bring in this great CEO under George's leadership, and he did that as well. So that is a great thing. So there's a lot of thank yous here. And one other thank you. I have been blessed by a great staff, and nobody has guarded the capital region for jobs, for dollars, for help. And you probably read about our cool little relationship in the ATU yesterday or the day before. But let me give a shout out to Steve Mann over here as well. And as you read, even though he's a Dallas Cowboys fan, it's going to be a great Sunday. Go Giants, go Bills. I love him. I love him. And he has always been the voice of the capital region. So, you know, there's no better place to grow new, high-tech, burgeoning businesses than in upstate New York. We have a top-notch workforce. We have great universities, and we're quickly becoming the global center for clean energy because of investments like this today. And another reason that we attract so much is we have such well-educated, hard-working, dedicated workforce. These are the folks who stayed. They love upstate New York, and they've been given good skills by our schools and our colleges and our institutions of higher learning. But without this workforce, it wouldn't happen. So raise your hand if you're working here at Plug Power. Thank you. You are the greatest, and you're the reason we're able to attract all this industry. Now, today's been a long time in coming, as Andy mentioned. Almost 7 years ago, I was standing with Andy on Plug Power's factory floor in Latham, and I promised him I would do everything I could to restore that federal investment tax credit for fuel cells that they had depended on. Back then, Plug Power was only a spark, 200 employees, still in the early phases of flickering to become financially viable. They really could have very well gone under. But I had a sense that Andy was the right person. Don't let that nice smile fool you. He is persistent and strong. And he personally lobbied me with that passion that I saw. And a lot of people come lobby you, and some of them are sort of full of bull a little bit. But you get to tell who is the real deal, and this man was the real deal. He insisted that the company was on the cusp of growth with its GenDrive fuel cells, and had Walmart and Target and other places wanting to buy them. But he needed that federal incentive, and more importantly, the security of the ITC, so financial institutions would invest, knowing that the ITC was there. I looked in the eye, I don't know how many of you workers were there then, back in 2017, but I looked in your eye and said, I will fight for you. Andy said, Chuck, if you can deliver this tax credit, these are his exact words in 2017, if you can deliver this tax credit, we will grow exponentially. Exponentially. We will be, continuing his quote, we will be creating jobs, putting up buildings, and cutting ribbons within the decade, I promise you. Well, it's less than half the decade. So, man, did he keep his promise as usual. Some would have taken those as lofty promises, but I knew Andy meant it, as I said, from his heart, from his soul. He had devoted his life to this country. And his vision was something I shared, of green energy was going to be our future. And that's one of the great things about this. It's a growing industry. It's a burgeoning industry. 10 years from now, we're not just going to have 1,600 workers at Plug Power and at other companies, many, many more. So it's a future. It's a bright, happy future. For too long, we've been living with industries that we knew the sun was sort of setting on, but not these. So today, we've come full circle. And I can say with absolute certainty, a promise made is a promise kept. I made sure we extended the ITC, and now we're following through, as I said, with his investments across upstate New York, Plug Power's investments, making these good, clean energy jobs. We have built the buildings, we've created the jobs, and now we're cutting the ribbon. And I'm proud that we have fought together. And we thank Andy, all of us in state government, all of us in government at the federal, state, and local levels, with the bottom of our heart, for your commitment and Plug's commitment to New York State. We will not forget it. Right? Go a little bit more. The ITC, as you know, has fueled tremendous growth at Plug, from 200 to a surging 1,100 now to 1,600 on the way in the next 5 years, and much more room to grow in this very plant. In 2016, I did the 1 millionth refill for Plug's fuel cell. We had a little ceremony. Yes. That was fun. 1 millionth. Today, they're celebrating their 62 millionth refill. And as the governor knows, because she and I do this, 62 is a very important number in New York State. We visit each county every year. 62 of them. Plug's in a better position now than it's ever been. The new facility, which will manufacture the GenDrive fuel cell systems that are used for electric motors, couldn't come at a better time. And as Andy mentioned, as majority leader, I just led the creation of the largest investments ever in fighting climate change and in boosting green hydrogen through the bipartisan infrastructure bill and law and the Inflation Reduction Act. And all of these investments, as I went through them and worked hard to get them done, one of the companies I was always thinking of was Plug Power, because I knew how much these other, not just the ITC back in 2017, but these other investments would even help Plug Power more. And the new clean hydrogen tax credits, the new federal programs to boost the kind of innovative technology that Plug makes, creating a regional clean hydrogen hub program that is perfectly suited for upstate New York. So I'm working closely with Plug and the governor to make sure that New York is selected as one of those sites, which will be another shot in the arm for us. And to truly bring us full circle, the Inflation Reduction Act, where we once again was able to expand the same investment tax credit that allowed ITC to grow. The futures never look brighter, never look brighter. And I think it's because that future is being powered by Plug. One final thing. You know, for years, many of us ached when we saw companies leave upstate New York, whether here in the capital region or in Syracuse or Rochester or Buffalo or Binghamton. But now we are making upstate New York the center of these new growing industries, not just fuel cells and not even just hydrogen, but microchip manufacturing, semiconductors. We've announced so many new investments here in the capital region with global foundries, but also across the state. We want to make New York the center for building our new lithium batteries. And Binghamton is becoming a center for that. Rochester, with Plug's help, a center for green hydrogen. Buffalo, a center for new high-end tech manufacturing. It's so exhilarating after years of worrying and suffering to see the future look so bright for the capital region and for upstate New York. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep having more events like this. Let's hear it for Plug Power.